everyone, this is Marika and welcome back to another session of Communication in Education Technology. We have been dealing with different methods of teaching and different methods of clinical teaching as well. We've completed what are the different methods of teaching like lecture and demonstration and various clinical methods of teaching like case method, case presentation, nursing rounds and bedside clinic. From this session today, we are going to start the 7th unit, which is educational media. In this session today, we are going to discuss about what is educational media, what are the different forms of educational media, what are the purposes of educational media, what is the concept of educational media, and finally, the importance of educational media. Before I go on and start discussing about what is educational media, there is a quote that is given by Reena Sharma who says that when the context of a particular learning subject travels to a person through various audio-visual media, the entire learning process becomes much more interesting and it also promotes the process of learning. So, she says that people everywhere like to learn things through the use of pictures and various different types of media. When graphics and pictures are used instead of just using a text in order to impart the knowledge, when these graphics and pictures are used, the process of learning becomes much more interesting and also the purpose of learning is easily met. So from this, you all must have got an idea about what we are going to discuss in this session. So educational media can also be called as audio-visual media. To put in very simple words, educational media are objects. Okay, so educational media are objects. What kind of objects? Those objects which facilitates the teaching learning process and enhances the delivery of knowledge to the learner. Okay, it is an object that is used in a teaching learning process which facilitates the teaching learning process and also enhances the imparting of knowledge or the transfer of knowledge to the learner easier. We can also say that educational media are learning devices that are used by the teacher, which helps the teacher to clarify, to establish, correlate and coordinate accurate information and concepts to make learning concrete, effective, vivid and easy. So we can say that an educational media are any device, we can also call them as a learning device which can be used by the teacher in the teaching learning process. Now this device will help the teacher to clarify the concept. This device will also help the teacher to correlate and coordinate various concepts, which in turn will make the learning for the learners more concrete. It makes the learner understand the concept easily, as well as it makes the entire topic interesting and vivid. So for example, if a teacher is dealing about a particular topic, let's say for example, if the teacher has chosen a topic about nursing rounds. Now, while the teacher is explaining to the student, if the teacher keeps on explaining only through text, the students might not understand or might not be able to have a concrete idea about the particular topic. Whereas if the teacher uses audio-visual media, if the teacher uses various pictures in order to show to the student this is how a nursing round is conducted, this is how nursing rounds take place in a particular hospital, this will give a clear idea to the student about what is a nursing round, how is it carried out in the particular hospital. So to make a concept more concrete, to make learning interesting, to make the concept vivid, learning devices are used in the teaching learning process. Those learning devices are called as educational media. Now, educational media can be called as audio-visual aids, audio-visual media, communication technology, audio-visual materials, learning resources, or educational or instructional media. They all mean the same and they can be used interchangeably, especially in education. Okay, so when we say audiovisual aids, audiovisual media, instructional media, learning resources, all of this refers to various learning devices that are used by the teacher in order to make sure that the concept is more interesting, meaningful, as well as can be transferred in such a way to the learners which becomes concrete. Now, audiovisual media should be seen in their relationship to the teaching learning process as a whole. Okay, so the teacher, before using the audiovisual media, must understand how he or she should use audiovisual media in order to make the learning more easy for the students. In order to make sure that the learning process is successful, the teacher first have to understand the relationship between the AV aid and the teaching learning process. How an AV aid is helpful in teaching learning process, this should be understood by the teacher before the teacher uses AV aids in order to deliver a particular class. Now, AV aids in today's world, in today's teaching learning activity, is one such device which is actually very helpful for the teacher to deliver their lecture in their day-to-day life. So those are the learning devices which can be used by the teacher. These learning devices are helping the teacher to make the concept clear for the student, to make the concept easier for the students. Now, education technology or the educational media that are used in education are any kind of machines, any kind of methods, media, or any kind of materials which are interrelated and which work together towards the fulfillment of a specific goal. So I hope you've understood what is educational media, what are the different names of educational media. At least you have got a brief idea about what is an educational media, right? Let us see what is the definition of educational media. An audiovisual aid or an educational media is an instructional device which makes sure that the concept or the message can be seen as well as heard. So an educational media or an AV aid is the instructional device that is used for providing instruction. So these devices make sure that the student not only hears, the learner not only hears what is being taught, but also sees the concept. Now, we all know that audiovisual aids are one of the sensitive tools that are used in teaching learning process. Audiovisual aids are planned instructional devices. It is planned by the teacher while the class is being delivered. We all know that every different topic demands for different method of teaching, and so AV aids that are used for a particular topic can be different from another topic. It is not necessary that the same kind of AV aids should be used for all the topics. There are different types of topics that require, that demands different methods of teaching and also different instructional media. So the teacher has to plan the AV aid that is to be used for the particular session. Audiovisual media are planned educational media. Planned as in the teacher has seen what is the concept to be delivered for the particular session and will plan the AV aid according to the topic's demand. Now, these audiovisual media will appeal the senses of the learners, which quickens the learning process and facilitates a better understanding of the concept. Now, there is another definition of audiovisual media which says that audiovisual medias are the devices which can be used to make the learning process more concrete, more meaningful, more realistic and dynamic. So this definition says that audiovisual medias are any devices that is used in teaching learning process which helps to make the learning process more concrete, which gives more meaning to the concept that is being dealt in the particular session. It gives realistic picture of the concept as well as it makes the topic dynamic. This definition is given by Kender S. Jim. Another definition says that audio-visual medias are supplementary devices, or it is a supplementary object by which the teacher is able to utilize more than one form of sensory channel in order to clarify, establish and correlate concept, and for interpretation of the concept. So this definition says that audio-visual medias are supplementary device for the teaching, which is used by the teacher. The teacher can use those devices, and use of this device utilizes more than one sensory channel of the learners in order to pass the message or the information to the learners. This will obviously help to clarify the concept, to make sure that the concept is more realistic, as well as better interpretation of the concept being dealt by the teacher. This definition is given by McNaughton and Roberts. So far, we have dealt about what are educational media, and we've also seen three different definitions of audiovisual media. Let us see the concept of audiovisual media. A very famous Chinese proverb proves the importance of audiovisual media in the teaching learning process. We all are aware about a proverb that says, I listen, I forget, but if I see, I remember. So this proves the importance of audiovisual media. We know when we are taught about something, when we hear something, we might be able to remember it for a short period of time, but we cannot remember it for a very long period of time. But if we have seen something, it makes the retention process much longer. Now, as we know, it is believed that the best learning experience can be achieved by doing things. It is through the experience that we achieve the best learning experience. But good learning can be achieved by the use of appropriate AV aids according to the topic. Furthermore, audiovisual media will help to motivate the students to learn better, improve the clarity and understanding of the concept. Now, audiovisual aid helps to maintain the high level of interest in the learners and also helps to create interest in the group. Of course, when audiovisual medias are used, it will grab the attention, it will grab the interest of the learners. In spite of just speaking out, if the learners are able to see the concept and if they are able to visualize the particular topic, it will be easier for them to remember the topic and will also gain the interest of the learners. Let us move on and now see what are the purposes of audiovisual media. The first one is, of course, to improve and make teaching effective. Audiovisual medias are used by the teacher in order to help them clarify the concept better. So it will help in effective learning. The next purpose is it will help the learners to look, to listen, and then to learn the particular concept. While we are teaching a particular topic through lecture method, and when there are no uses of AV aids, the students will only be able to listen to what the teacher is saying. Whereas when various AV aids are used, it will grab the attention of the students. The students will not only be able to hear, but also be able to see the particular concept that is being explained. The third purpose is it helps to reduce the effort of the teacher. Obviously, the teacher need not keep explaining the same topic again and again in order to clarify the concept. If proper AV aids are used, the teacher can use the AV aids and understand it better. Next one, it fosters the knowledge. It fosters the process of imparting the knowledge. Next one is it makes learning interesting. The next purpose is it quickens the phase of learning. Of course, it will help to quickly learn by visualizing the concept. As we have discussed, it not only helps in just listening to what is being taught, the students are able to visualize what is being taught. They're able to see. It will give more concrete idea about the concept being taught. The next purpose is it helps to add uniqueness, variety and newness to the particular concept instead of just dealing it in a general ordinary way. If the teacher is able to use various audiovisual media, it will help to create variety and newness for the concept. The next purpose is it will stimulate the curiosity among the learners as well. The next purpose is it provides a basis for effective and conceptual learning for the learners. The next purpose is the students will be able to acquire a clear, vivid, and accurate image of what is being taught during the learning process. When the students are able to see what is being taught, they will have a clear idea about what it is instead of just thinking or imagining about the concept. When AV aids are used, when it is shown to the students, they will be able to have a clear picture on the particular concept. Another purpose of using AV aid is to make sure that it meets the need of learners within a classroom. The individual needs of every different student is different, every different learner is different. So through the use of AV aids, There may be some students who are not able to understand the concept quickly when it is just delivered as a lecture without the use of AV aids. While when AV aids are used, it will help the students who are slow learners as well to meet their needs of learning. The next purpose is to stimulate thinking and also motivate the students for learning better. With the use of AV aids, the teacher can motivate the students to learn better and also stimulate interest among the students. Next one is it saves time and energy, as we have discussed them while AV aids are used. So it will help the teacher to save time and energy. So those are the various purposes of educational media. Let us now move on and see why is educational media important? Why are AV aids important? So let us discuss about the importance of AV aids. Is memory retention. Various studies suggest that reported that psychologists and educators have found that when the learning is transferred through the use of various audio-visual media, it extends. The retention is up to 3 days after the particular session is held. So as I said, the first importance is helping in memory retention. There have been various studies that have conducted where various psychologists and educators have said that after an event is conducted, after a class is conducted, if the class or the event has been conducted through the use of various audio visual media, the retention of the particular concept remains with the people up to 3 days after the particular session is held. And this is 6 times more than when the information is passed on just by spoken words. So just by delivering lecture, if a particular concept is passed, it does not last for a longer period of time. Whereas when there are users of audio visual media, it lasts up to 3 days after the particular event, which is 6 times more than the words spoken alone for the clarification of the concept. So visual aids, as we are speaking, when we are using visual aids, it will allow the speaker to not only use their verbal communication but various non-verbal to solidify the message that is being given to the learners. The next importance is improved attention span. Now, we all know every individual has a limited attention span. Now, once this time exceeds or once it is done, people will not be able to listen effectively, and even the retention of what they have listened after their attention span is very much shorter. But with the use of various audio-visual aids, the mind engages in different ways of learning. Users of audio-visual aid will refresh the mind, and also the mind will engage itself in various other ways or techniques of learning the particular concept. Use of visual aids will keep the mind alert and it will keep the mind interested. So if the mind is entertained, it will help the people to listen to the concept more clearly, understand the concept more clearly, as well as have a retention power or attention span much longer than the normal attention span. So the first one, as we have seen, is memory retention. Use of audiovisual aid will help in retaining the memory, and it is up to 6 times more than what is just taught to the students by spoken words. The second one is improved attention span. Everybody has a limited attention span, and once this capacity is spent, people will not be able to listen effectively. But when we use various audiovisual medias, the mind will engage itself in different ways of learning, in different techniques of learning, which will make the attention span longer, and the mind remains entertained, which will help the people to receive the information more clearly. The third importance is organizing communication. Now, audio-visual aids can help to organize the communication as well. How does audio-visual media helps in organizing communication? So for every different point while we are presenting a topic, we can use different types of audio-visual media, right? Now, this will help the speaker to separate the content or the information into smaller chunk of information. When the individual is able to separate the information into smaller parts so that different kinds of audiovisual aids can be used in order to supplement the teaching process, it will help to also organize the communication during a presentation. The next one is comprehension. So, as we know, not every individual has the same pace of learning. We know there are individual differences, and every individual will have different ways of learning. And if there are students or learners who are more of visual learners than the auditory learners, the audio-visual aids, especially the visual aids, can be one of the most effective ways of supplementing the teaching process. These are the four major importance of audio-visual aid. It helps in improving the attention span. It helps in retention of the particular concept. It helps to comprehend the subject or the concept properly, as well as organize the communication for the presentation effectively. So to conclude today, we have seen what are educational media, what are the different names of educational media. We've also discussed about the definition, the concept of audiovisual media, the purposes and importance of audiovisual media. I hope the class was helpful and I'll see you all in the next session. Thank you and have a great day ahead.